Hello, 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 welcome back to another video. Today's video is all about Harvest League. We're talking about the reveal, brand changes, and FAQ. Hope you guys enjoy and let's jump right into it. Full screen this shit.
Though this land is shrouded in pain and darkness, it teems with life.
Blight
Behold
League.
the sacred grove.
Music.
With forethought, we may bend life to our will, to remake the world as we see fit.
Wait, you planned
But
shit?
beware, nature protects itself.
Do you see that color?
Whoa,
Oh my
okay,
God.
that's pretty cool. No rushing. Yes.
Tronju Valley. I'm coining it now. Tronville.
This is Blight League. Oh, what was that? What was that? Oops, I can't read it so fast.
But do not forget, whatever you sow, you must harvest.
In the Harvest League, seek out the seed cache in every area you explore. Take its seeds through Oshabi's portal to the Sacred Grove. Sow those seeds to grow dangerous and rewarding monsters.
Okay, cool.
When they are ready for harvest, slaughter them and extract their life force.
Oh, cool. Damn, nice. This don't have to
Use
rush.
this life force to easily craft powerful items.
Okay. Follow a random socket on an item, turning it white. Uh-huh.
Store the leftover life force to fertilize higher tiers of seeds.
Holy shit.
Discover rare seeds that yield exotic crafting options or dangerous endgame bosses.
Awesome.
In addition to many new items and skills, this expansion also contains major revamps to the passive skill tree, war cries, slam skills, brands, and over 50 unique items.
Oh no, war cries and brands.
The harvest begins on June 19.
June 19, harvest. Let's go.
Chris, I love you, but there's so much more to know. I have so many unanswered questions. Who could answer them?
Dun, dun, dun.
Who could answer them,
Nice.
chat?
Okay, lots to unpack there. I think the new league mechanic is gonna be much better for more people.
I get spoiled on
'Cause-
this,
'cause
simply, it's the
you know why
price
it's
I
great?
pay.
Slow
The price I
people
pay,
don't
I
get
so
punished,
spoiled.
and fast
So,
people
seeing your guys' initial
get to do this
reactions
thing,
is something
get to
else.
progress it faster, but you know, you
Oh
don't
God,
have to
those are
rush.
weeks, man. That's just why me.
Like me, I'm the slow people. I don't like delirium mechanic is super stressful for me if I want to get a lot of splinters. But yeah, about the delirium, it said that if you juice up your maps, you have a higher chance to get delirium.
Loving it.
New league has colors. It's pretty sexy colors. I'm not gonna
Wait a
lie.
minute.
You don't know this league, but it's all about crafting. You guys love. A Path of Exile Harvest. In Path of Exile Harvest, Oshabi is cultivating the Sacred Grove, an ancient garden of mysterious power. Plant seeds that grow into dangerous enemies and craft their life force onto your items. Our June expansion contains the Harvest Challenge League, powerful new crafting options, 8 new skills, 2 new support gems, revamped for 200 weapons, Warcry skills, brands, slams, and the passive skill tree itself. We've also introduced 12 new unique items and rebalanced over 50 existing ones. Well, this, like, the way Ziggy described it, the passive skill tree revamp sounds like it adds just extra more nodes. So, I don't know. This doesn't seem like a huge revamp to me. It's like every league they add new nodes. Sacred Grove. I like it, so pretty. It is beautiful, yes. I believe it to be older than the Eternal Empire, older than the Vow. I'm not so sure, but it does not look like their work. You like to believe it is a work of my ancestral Azmiri. I was once blessed with a deep connection to the land. It would speak to me and nourish me, but that connection was severed, and in turn my tribe severed their connection to me. I was alone, lost. The land spoke no more until I found this place. Oshabi. It's so pretty! Like the colors I like a lot. Oh, it's just so pretty. Look how pretty! Plant potent seeds. Seek out the seed caches in every area you explore. Take its seeds through Oshabi's portal to the Sacred Grove. Sow these seeds to grow dangerous and rewarding monsters. While most seeds grow easily, rarer high-tier ones require more careful planning but yield more valuable results. Extract a life force. When your monsters are ready for harvest, slaughter them and claim their life force. Every enemy you fight in the Sacred Grove is one you intentionally planted. Customize your combat around your character's capabilities and what rewards you're seeking. Oh, look how cool they are, so trippy. Reap a bountiful harvest, okay. Every monster you defeat in the grove grants you a crafting option. Performing one of these powerful crafts consumes life force from the monsters you just harvested. In order to maximize your life force and hence crafting potential, you'll want to take on as many monsters as you dare handle. Harvest crafting provides powerful direct crafting to an extent that Path of Exile has never seen before. Let's see. Quicksilver Flask. Increased duration, 78%, minus 1% to this value when used. So every time you use this flask, it goes down by 1%? Tribute to the goddess. Wait. And spend this item to open the Eternal of Fortune. Eternal Labyrinth of Fortune? Whoa, okay, this is gonna be interesting. Wow, okay. Jeweled Legion Scarab. Area contains 2 additional Legion encounters. Each Legion contains a war horde. Each Legion accompanied by General. Does not consume sextant uses.
Okay.
Renewing Labyrinth in any way would be more than welcome. Well, I don't know if that Labyrinth would change, but like, Labyrinth of Fortune. Like, fortune means money, right? Evolve your garden. As you build the ultimate garden, you'll discover exotic seeds with specific needs that must be met in order to grow. Various pipes, condensers, and dispersers can help you fertilize your garden with any remaining life force. Disperser, condenser, wild life force collector. Unearth legendary foes. Look at this bear! It's a porcupine bear. Oshabi speaks of the legend of 3 primordial beasts, Ersi, Yanar, and Namharim. For those able to cultivate these rare seeds, the immense monsters that emerge can yield harvest's most valuable rewards. It's so pretty! Look at how pretty it is! Passive skill tree improvements. Okay, it's improvements, not revamp. The passive skill tree has received many improvements, including better support for some mechanics, for example, two-hand weapons or rage! With both numeric buffs and entirely new clusters of passives. In addition, there are many new notables and keystone passives, which include both fan favorites from Timeless Jewels and even some... Oh, Chris talking!
So this league has a big crafting focus from the looks of things. And from my earlier conversation with you, you were talking about how hard you were trying to push crafting for the league. The last big crafting league we got was Synthesis, with its Synthesis Mechanics crafting system, which was quite difficult for a lot of players to actually engage with in the end. So how does Harvest crafting plan on like improving on that, or I guess learning from Synthesis?
So normally when we're looking at reward structures for leagues, we try very hard to push the power creep just a little bit, right? Like we look at what thing we can do in this league that's new that we haven't done in the previous ones. Because if we push this too hard, then people are just getting exponentially better items with each league, and that kind of invalidates their work because they know that good items that go to standard will be terrible a few leagues from now. And so with Synthesis, our goal was to come up with a way to have like a 5% better, items possible, and playing with implicits was the way that we decided to do that. In Harvest, we knew we wanted the crafting system to be very strong for various reasons. We're making other changes to, item drops from league content and so on, and we knew that crafting was where it was going to be at. We tried very hard here to come up with a crafting system that had a lot of different things you could do. Like in Synthesis, there's basically one crafting mechanic. In Harvest, there's like 45 or something like that. Like you can do so many different things,
Okay.
An alternate labyrinth, for example, was listed there. There's a lot of different things that are possible with Harvest crafting.
Okay, you mentioned it, so I'm gonna ask about it then.
Chris, now and before
What's this labyrinth thing all about? Are you
That's
willing
the
to say?
Eternal Labyrinth of Fortune. So it's an Eternal Lab. It doesn't have new ascendancy points because it's just the Eternal Lab, but it has the Of Fortune mod, and maybe there are several of these that do different things and change your rewards or whatever. We'll see what you can grow in the garden. It's also worth noting there's a bunch of crafting stuff hidden away in the trailer on all the different screenshots that we flick through showing rewards. So
Does that at all interact with enchantments, or is it like the loot at the end, or is it a secret?
it depends a lot on which mod you get. You'll have to play and find out. And but there's a little bit of community discovery going on there, but it's only for specific mechanics like that.
Yeah, so how does that kind of interact with leveling experience? From our earlier conversation we had the other day, you were saying you really wanted people to engage with this while leveling rather than be something people skip, maybe even people who like are racing or leveling really quickly or experienced veterans of the game. You want them to
imagine
use
for
it while leveling.
racing this game.
Yeah, I mean,
this
I
league.
personally don't mind whether individual
could craft
players
some
engage with league
sick
mechanics or
items.
save them till maps. Like, they're both valid play styles, but a kind of a litmus test of the power of crafting here, it has to feel like the right answer to use it while leveling in order for it to hit the power level we're looking for. And the reason why you don't get as many rare items from league monster drops and direct league rewards in this league, and that's intentional because we've been showering players on items for engaging with league content, and it gets more
Next
and more.
league is gonna
In
feel
fact,
like we're poor AF.
we found that players, when we give them the same number of rare items in a new league, because the league is obscure and, you know, it takes some effort to learn and all that kind of stuff, you know, for each league we release, players aren't good at it from day one. They see it as less rewarding compared to the one that they became good at that has the same drops from before. But the level of league drops probably shouldn't be as high as it was. And so we wanted to address that ratio. Still keep the monsters rewarding, but to move a lot of the power and a lot of the equity off onto this crafting system, kind of as a big experiment to see how things will go for 3 months if we just have insane crafting, right? You know, it's a learning exercise. With Path of Exile 2 coming up, we want to know how big should crafting be. And so that's the big experiment we're running here.
Okay. How big a difference do you see between like someone just I'm going to say organically gardening, which is just like slapping things together kind
Organic
of somewhat randomly
gardening.
without too much
Yeah, let's
planning,
go. Ethical
versus someone
gardening.
who's like a Factorio god and loves these sort of like logistics management games and super optimizes their garden. Do you think it'll make a huge difference, or will just
Get
like the
on
garden will
cast
look better?
bonuses?
Certainly looks better if you're tidy, but most of the benefit comes
No,
in
this
when
is
you're
a-
looking
this
at
is a
higher tier
body armor
seeds.
Bad
Like,
Phantom.
if you're wanting to plant a tier 3 or the
Doriani's
boss tier,
prototype
tier
is a body
4
armor,
above
not a
it,
shield.
it requires quite a lot of irrigation requirements. You have to make sure that it's got life force of various different types distributed over it. It's got to be next to tier 3 seeds, which need their own life force and so on.
Harvest is something that we effectively have to leave the map. Now, not technically from the way you explained it to me. You don't actually have to technically leave the map.
Play
'cause
Archmage
it's
Blood
loaded as a part of
Lightning.
the zone, right?
That's correct. It's like with Incursion, it will just put you there without a load screen because it's magically teleporting you off to the side of this current area you're in. So the goal is that there's no reason not to go and do it from a time or loading point of view. Of course, to get to the thing I think you're about to ask, you don't actually have to go into your garden every map. So time passes when you open the seed cache, and you want to grab the seeds, of course, and they stack automatically and so on. So, ideally it's not taking up a lot of inventory space, but you technically do not need to actually go and do planting because the garden is quite large. And so if you were to play 5 or 10 maps, collect all the seeds together, and then go on one big planting spree, and then later one big killing and crafting spree, that works totally fine. It's just like accumulating sulfite. Sure, you might marginally micro-optimize your play if you immediately delve every time you get sulfite, or immediately go to the garden every time you get seeds, but realistically, it's fine to postpone that because each seed still results in a fight, which still results in a crafting reward and more seeds. So it doesn't really matter how aggressively you climb that pyramid as long as you
I'm
get
totally
through your
gonna go
fights.
every time. Plant all my
Okay,
seeds.
all right. But there's a seed stash, and not a stash. No, seed storage.
Yeah,
in the garden, right?
it's not technically a stash. It's a user interface a bit like the Azurite and Sulfite one in Delve, but you can put your seeds in it. So the basic idea is we understand the fact that we still give new players 4 stash tabs, and we don't particularly want to fill one of those full of seeds. So we've provided storage for the seeds in this particular league,
Okay, where
which
is
slots
it?
into the user interface where you get like additional infrastructure components and so on. And so
Where?
while they are technically tradable, as in you can pull them out and trade them with other players, they do sit in the user interface for most of the time at rest, as it were. And so you can access this an unnamed seed storage thing that is not a stash from the garden and also from your hideout, I believe.
Okay.
The
That is
seed
not-
bin or the seed chest or
the
something
seed-
like that.
We'll find a way.
Seed
from
satchel.
from what I heard, yeah, we're still figuring out the
Okay,
name
this
of
is
that
pretty
one.
nice, actually. I appreciate that.
Good, and you don't, no, chat, you don't have to pay money for that. That is a part of the league mechanic.
Okay, thank
Very
God.
good news.
That is
sure.
actually very nice.
I'm
Imagine
gonna
if you
change
had to
gears a
store
little
them
bit
somewhere.
Here, and Delirium's implementation into the game is a bit different to how previous leagues, rather than being the 10%, it's tied to the density of content stacking, which seems to make a lot of sense given the league's mechanic. I'm a little interested, though, if there's a bit of a danger because cluster jewels are tied to Delirium still, whether that's going to make them lose what I think was one of their bigger advantages, their accessibility.
Right. We are not really worried about that. I mean, so to give you some numbers, and these could change. Like, in fact, they probably will change them now that I'm going to say them. But there's currently in the new implementation a 25% chance of getting a cluster jewel per reward you get from Delirium. And as you know, when you get your third reward, it kicks in a fourth one as well. So as soon as you're hitting 3 rewards, which is really easy, you're guaranteeing a cluster jewel. And of course, if you get like to 175% chance, it will give you a guaranteed one and then give you 75% chance of a second and so on. So pretty much any time you're encountering Delirium, unless you completely screw it up, you're getting 1 and a bit cluster jewels from that.
It was pretty obvious, I would say, that Archmage Brand was going to get some, Archmage Stormbrand was going to get some bit of nerf hammer action. Yeah. Could you expand a little bit upon the approach to brand changes?
The way that people ended up using brands before was basically casting some powerful brands and letting them follow you around the map, using various tricks. Like, for example, when a brand fell off, it would fall at your feet, and brand recall, of course, would reset that and also update the duration eventually so that you never lost your brands. And then due to the Archmage stuff, if you expend a lot of mana right at the beginning of the area, then your really cheap brand recall drags these super damaging brands throughout the whole level with you, and you just spam brand recall as you run through the area and never really have to engage with anything beyond that. And so we've been careful here where we still want that build to work, but we want it to be more interactive. And so there's various small changes. And honestly, I'd rather wait for the guys to post a manifesto or whatever, but I'll summarize. And so the first thing we're doing is making it so that brand recall inherits part of the cost of the brands that you're using. So if you're casting incredibly expensive brands, then they're somewhat expensive to recall. So that Archmage has some mana use after they've cast their big ones at the beginning of the map.
Probably the best thing that happens
there's
to
also
RPG.
changes to how
It's
brand
really good
recall works
mechanic.
with
I
duration
like it.
so that it can, it's still good to use, but it's not going to mean that you can drag the same brand throughout the entire map. The intention is that you do recast your brands occasionally. In addition, when they drop off to the place that they were last recalled or last cast, which sounds bad, but it really isn't that bad during gameplay. It just kind of means you have to recast your brands a lot more, and it's a more interactive build and is the way they were meant to be played. Now, the flip side, of course, is we've added lots of new brand options and versatility here. I mean, like Arcanist Brand is basically a build your own brand thing. You can have sequences of spells there, and there's other new playstyles like with Penance Brand and so on. So our expectation here is that that one pretty abusive build is toned down to more reasonable levels, which I understand will be described as nerfed into the ground, even though we're just trying to make it good rather than insane. And hopefully we'll see a lot more brand builds now that there's so many new options.
We're going to move on to some more viewer questions that we've been harvesting. Again, loving the puns this league.
Look, he's so
can
cute.
you craft multiple items? If you have one item and you have multiple crafting options, can you use it multiple times in that one sitting on that one item?
You can indeed. Right, guys? Yeah, I just have some people physically distanced away from me to be able to, double check.
Okay. Does the seed craft take a master crafting slot, or are they separate things?
They're separate. That means you can stack a mastercraft on top. The seed stuff is just like currency. Like, this is just insane. Like, I have to emphasize here, we're probably ruining the game with this league. So you get crazy stuff.
Let's go.
Standard will be very jealous. And then we may just take it all away. So we'll see, right?
Yeah,
Play Harvest
okay,
if you want this
never.
crafting, because there is
No
no
way in
guarantee
hell.
that's staying anywhere near as powerful in the future. It really is an
okay.
experiment.
Let's see. New brand gems and brand changes in Path of Exile Harvest. So this is very relevant to... Today's news covered what changes to expect and provides a preview of the new brand gems. Okay, changes to brands. Brands were first introduced many leagues ago with Stormbrand, Armageddon brand. Brands are all cast on a location and attached to nearby enemies, repeatedly activating to perform their unique effect. They detach if the enemy dies, ready to jump to another target. We finally added some new brand skills: Arcanist Brand, Penance Brand, and Wintertide Brand. These come alongside new options for how you can build and play brands, like the new Swift Brand Support. These additions introduce more aggressive active playstyle. Arcanist Brand. Arcanist Brand is a new brand skill that also supports any triggerable spell linked with it. Each time the brand activates, it triggers a supported spell, allowing you to build your own brand setup, potentially even triggering multiple different spells in succession. As brand mechanics naturally have a great clearing capacity, the support skills have less area, projectile range, and chain range. Triggered spells have a damage penalty to balance their ability to activate multiple times. The triggered spells also deal more damage to branded enemies. Projectiles will hit the branded enemies but will aim at another nearby enemy each activation, so they often take advantage of pierce, chain, or fork effects. Arcanist Brand has a shorter duration than other brands, so isn't something you'd use on any build to passively trigger effects, but when building for brands, it can be very powerful. Like other brands, cast speed affects activation rate, so it benefits from most spellcaster investment. Penance Brand. Penance Brand builds up energy on the branded target with each activation, though at first the activation don't deal any damage. Each activation also spreads energy to another enemy, and then that enemy can then spread it to another uncharged enemy, the next activation, so on. This means that with repeat activations it can rapidly spread to the group of enemies, energizing them all. When the brand is removed, for example, by its duration expiring, it being recalled, the trigger dying or being replaced, all of the energy is released. This releases an explosion around each enemy, dealing physical damage with a portion converted to lightning. Well, this is nice for, like, you know, damage conversions and Eternity Shroud builds such. The more energy the enemy had on it, the greater the damage in the area. You can pick and choose which mechanic to focus on to detonate your Penance Brands. If the branded enemy becomes fully energized, they'll start pulsing damage around them, so reaching full charge won't waste any damage. You can shorten the duration of the brand to have them automatically go off after a brief time, or use brand recall to force detonations when you detach the brand. Fully energized, like how much energy do you need to get it fully energized? Wintertide Brand. Wintertide Brand applies cold damage over time to the branded enemies and chills them. Oh no! Each activation, the brand's damage effect becomes more intense on that enemy. I just feel like the way brands work, even damage over time is kind of like, eh. The damage over time, it would be... The cold dot brand can be great for vortex builds. Yeah, just another layer, for sure. Plus you can always do it, you always use it like a delivery mechanism for that bone chill or whatever. Okay, when the brand is removed, such as when its duration expires, it is recalled, the target dies, or the brand is replaced, the damage over time effect is released in an area. This affects both the branded enemy if they're still alive and all other enemies around. This means that if the damage effect has grown in intense through many activations, it could apply a very potent damage over time effect in an area. Unlike other brands, Wintertide Brand has a base limit of 2 brands per target. With the Runebinder Keystone, you could apply 3 Wintertide Brands to a single target for massive cold damage over time. This means that your character's build will be quite different from other cold damage over time skills, but the duration-based nature of brands means you can easily cast a cold skill like Vortex, Cold Snap, or Arctic Breath in between, refreshing your brand effects. Swift Brand Support. The Swift Brand Support greatly lowers the active and inactive duration of brand, but increases its activation rate. For a single brand being cast once, it's not as good as other supports, but if you're rapidly placing many brands, it's a huge damage increase. You can play a much more aggressive brand playstyle with this support. It also works very well with Penance Brand to rapidly detonate, as well as Armageddon Brand to make the most of its short cast time. Okay, brand recall and brand mechanic adjustments. That's gonna be the interesting bit. Brand recall still instantly moves your brands to you and activates them, but no longer refreshes the brand duration! No! Oh my god, that's shit! That is so shit! It now consumes mana based on the brand's recall. This prevents brands benefiting heavily from Archmage support, without the same mana upkeep the support usually requires. We generally feel that if a common build has ongoing damage with very little input, it should deal below average damage or require massive investment. Certain brand builds that instantly refreshed brand duration indefinitely provided too much power for their opportunity cost. Rather than lowering the damage of these builds, we've changed the mechanic that let the build be played passively. The cooldown of brand recall has been lightened, but we've also provided new avenues and investment so that you can still bring it down to a similar length. As a small change to remove some more of the potential passivity of brands, brands now return to their original or recalled location when dropped by monsters, rather than a dropped monster location. This puts a greater focus on brand attachment range and prevents the brands from disappearing into the distance when killing monsters you've yet to see. Archmage will still be strong as hell with brands, you just can't use 10k mana cost brands anymore. Yeah, but it's still shit. Like, on top of removing the duration, okay? Which is like, okay, fine, it was super OP anyways. Why do you have to increase the cooldown? If there is no duration, let me recast the brand recall as much as I want. Especially if they don't drop under monsters. Why? Doesn't matter? I mean, it was like, now you have to invest way more for that. Yeah, you can get it, but it's probably not gonna be as straightforward. Either they're gonna have to use another support, or you're gonna have to take more skill points, or you're gonna have to gear differently, like, all of those things, like, add up. The duration, it's so shit. It was expected, but, gotta go play my brand build before it's irrelevant. Well, the Swift brand support, I guess this Penance brand seems kinda cool. Okay, we've made many other changes like visual improvements to Armageddon brand, a new brand passive cluster, tweaks to existing brands passives, and a crazy new unique weapon. We'll be revealing many of these as well, additions to Warcries and Slams, and lead up the release of Path of Exile Harvest. Okay, let's watch this video. It's so slow. Yeah, Swift brand looks pretty good. Whoa, it's Armageddon brand is still so slow, come on. It looks much nicer now. I mean, it's cool, but it seems so slow. If that's what they want from brands now, because it used to be like super mobile build. I mean, then again, in these showcase videos, they're never like super OP, right? It seems kind of cool. People were saying instantly to like arc it and GG. The biggest problem I have with new brands is that you would have to recast them so much. Like the best part about brands was that you didn't have to recast them. And it was the OP bit, right? Even before Archmage support came around, and it made brands so OP. When I first time I played brands, I still enjoyed, even wasn't doing even that much ridiculous amount of damage, and I still enjoyed just the whole process of like recast. And you still had to recast them back then, because I don't think I got the cooldowns just quite as low, but you didn't have to recast them so often. It was so nice. Okay, let's read this FAQ and then go play some Xanas. Earlier this week, we announced Path of Exile Harvest, which is set to launch June 19. In this league, you'll assist Oshabi as she explores the mysterious power of the Sacred Grove. In short, you'll plant seeds, encourage their growth, harvest the monsters within, and use their life force as powerful crafting resource. In Harvest, you'll be able to find a seed cache in each area. When you're within a certain range of it, roots will appear beneath your feet and point you towards it to help you easily locate it. Open the cache, collect the seeds, and enter Oshabi's portal. Plant them in the garden alongside collectors. Each seed has different properties which dictates which monsters to spawn from it and which specific crafting resources that monster can create. Once a crop of plants is fully grown, you can harvest it and monsters will emerge. If you are able to slay these monsters, their life force can be used for crafting and to help grow higher tiers of seeds. The Sacred Grove gives you complete power over which seed you like to plant, how many monsters you like to challenge yourself against at any one time, and which crafting options you'd like to utilize. The crafting options provide benefits to characters at all levels and unlock means of power not seen before in Path of Exile. We're really excited about introducing a league with a pace that differs from previous leagues and can't wait to see how players build their characters around these new crafting options. Thank God. Thank fucking God. This league is totally not in my pace, this Delirium League. Do seeds stack? Yes, identical seeds of the same level will stack in your inventory and in the seed storage within the grove. The level will be displayed on the seed in your inventory. Okay. How do I make my plants grow? Seeds specify how many cycles of growth they require before they'll be ready to harvest. When you open a seed cache in the main game, it will count as one growth cycle within your garden. You don't need to enter your garden in order to make the seeds grow, and their growth is not tied to the passage of time. What happens if I don't plant my seeds? Will they disappear? You can save them for as long as you'd like or even trade them to other players. I bet there's gonna be some super rare seeds or super rare crafts that people are gonna... It's gonna be like with beasts. Do I have to harvest my plants within a certain amount of time? No, they don't wither or die. If I don't feel like tending to my garden, what happens if I skip entering the garden for a map? That has no negative effect on your garden, it just pauses your progress. You can leave it for as long as you like and return to it when you're ready. How do I get gardening equipment? Go to IKEA! No. You start with a small amount of each type of equipment to facilitate getting your garden started. Some is already placed in your garden to ensure that it's easy to learn how things work as you progress through the game. It's likely that you can use Lifeforce to purchase additional pieces of infrastructure. It's likely, okay, so this is also subject to change. Can I accidentally target my garden's infrastructure while I'm fighting monsters? You have a short window to activate as many collectors as you'd like. After this window, you can't target anything else in your garden while monsters are alive. The exception to this is the portal to exit your garden in case you need to quickly flee the danger. Oh, nice! Will we be able to move or delete garden infrastructures if we'd like to change their placement? Yes! Can I access the Sacred Grove from my hideout? Yes! How many new crafting options does Harvest introduce? There are over 45 crafting categories, resulting in over 250 different possible craft effects. Okay, each seed states which category of crafting benefit it provides so that you can prioritize planting seeds which correlate to which crafting option you're interested in. When you slay the monsters from those seeds, their life force can be used to craft an outcome within that category. The specific outcomes you receive are listed on the crafting screen. The more life force you have in your collector from this fight, the more options you'll be able to use out of the set you receive. For example, if you plant 8 seeds that grant reveal a random physical modifier crafting effect when harvested, slay those monsters and gather their life force, you'll be presented with different options with outcomes like reforge a rare item with a random modifier, including a physical modifier. Augment a magic or rare item with a new physical modifier, remove a physical modifier from an item, or randomize the numeric values of the random properties of a physical modifier on an item. You may have... So this is like a divine just for physical mods, or... You may have multiple uses of some of these based on the randomly determined outcomes of each seed. There will be a total of 8 outcomes, including the multiple uses. Though you'll usually not have enough life force to use them all, but you'll hopefully get and be able to afford the ones you really wanted. Okay, does harvest crafting also benefit low-level players? Okay, yes, tending your garden from the earliest stages of the game provides powerful benefits to both leveling an endgame character. We want the items you craft to be very powerful and to provide a huge boost for getting through the storyline content. For example, Exalted Orbs are powerful currency items that are generally only available in the endgame. Some harvest crafts allow you to effectively exalt your item with a specific mod. For example, exalting a physical modifier on your item. This is insane! This is for leveling. This is fucking insane. Normally, Exalted Orbs are very rare due to a combination of their power, tradability, and that they work on any item. If we drop too many early in the game, they'll lose a lot of their value. However, we can give a lot of physical exalts early in the game through Harvest, as they can only be used on lower level items and don't have an implication for endgame items. By endgame, the physical exalts become rarer again because their value rises exponentially as they affect more items. Oh, that's pretty clever. Okay, so we're gonna get these specific exalted orbs while we're leveling more, which is actually super nice for leveling, especially for if you're leveling melee. You know, you're always looking, especially if you don't have like a twink gear or unique something, you're always looking how to get better tips on your weapons. You could potentially get like a sick leveling weapon with this. Harvest crafts effectively allow you to exalt your gear while leveling, alongside dozens of other similar powerful outcomes, which is unprecedented in PoE. Wow. How do I get tier 2 seeds? Monsters that emerge from tier 1 plants have a chance to drop tier 2 seeds when slain. The same principle applies to tier 3 and tier 4 seeds. Do monsters from the garden also drop items? Yes, they may reward for tending your garden's powerful crafting options, but you'll also receive regular items and potentially some harvest-specific uniques. The item drop rate of monsters in the garden is higher than that of regular monsters in the main game because they're league content. What's the motivation for killing more monsters? The more monsters you kill, the more seed drops you get and the more life force you can collect for your crafting session. Any leftover life force can be stored and used to yield higher tier plants. Slain monsters also grant experience in item drops as usual, and larger fights result in larger bonuses to item drops. We are also experimenting with creating a system that means that the more monsters you kill at a time, the more item drops and life force you get relative to the size of the harvest. This would be displayed as a list of stats below the collector's harvest button, similar to the list of stats next to the metamorph power bar. Oh, cool. Will there be some way to know when your plants are ready to harvest without visiting your garden? We're currently working on some kind of signal within the UI that will alert you when you have a collector that's near plants that are ready to harvest. Its exact implementation is currently in progress and will confirm the final details as soon as they are decided. How do I get to my garden? When you open a seed cache, Oshabi will appear from her portal. You can walk through to access your garden, or alternatively enter it from your hideout. Will my garden ever reset? No, your garden has a set size from the beginning. You'll always access the same one, but it will continue to evolve as you develop your garden. You can move infrastructure and plants around if you put them into the wrong place. I liked optimization. Can I access my stash in the garden? Yes, you can craft items that are stored in your stash, but cannot remove or add items to the stash if you're in a map. Can I re-enter the garden if I die? Yes, unless you're in a hardcore league, of course. The monsters remain until its instance closes. Awesome, this is so nice. How does it work in parties? You will be able to access your party members' garden by entering Shabi's portal. We are still working on the details for how seed drop allocation will work when a player opens a seed cache, as well as how that will affect an individual player's progress towards growing their plants. Am I able to access my garden from any other character? Yes, you have one garden per league that each of your characters within that league can access. However, your plants will only grow if you're opening seed caches that are from a level similar to the level of plants in your garden. For example, you can't progress your level 82 seeds while you're in the mud flats. But what if I want to level new character? Aww. Do your map mods affect the monsters in your garden? We're still working on the finer details of this and so can't confirm anything just yet. Can delirium affect the monsters in your garden? Our intention is that delirium can spread through your garden out and the timer will be paused if all players in the instance are inside the grove. When I enter Shabi's portal, will I have to wait for a loading screen? No, it works similar to Incursion and loads instantly. Ziggy D's live Q&A. Just in case you missed it, Ziggy hosted a live Q&A with lead developer Chris Wilson, where they talked in more depth about what to expect from Harvest. Check the video below. Thanks for watching and be sure to check out my stream if you are new here. Bye. Bye. Bye.